So, I'm actually a fan of romantic elements in stories. I can genuinely think of plenty of romances which have touched me. My favorite story of all time, Shadow Hearts, got to me so hard partially because of the romantic elements. In fact, I'd say Yuri and Alice's relationship is the top reason I became as invested as I was. Because of this, I've ended up studying romance quite a bit, and one thing I've become a bit obsessed with, and I think I have the answer to for any writer grappling with this, is how one creates chemistry between two characters. I'm curious what other people think of my conclusions and methods so far, so here we go. First up, let's define chemistry. I know many like to make these things seem like some magical spark or whatever, but I'm not the type to romanticize things, which, to note, I recognize the irony of that statement. I mean romanticize in regards to making something seem like a mysterious force rather than something concrete and understandable. I am against that because I believe it encourages fixed mindsets and easy outs, as opposed to self-development and a path forward. So, anyway, chemistry. What is it? Simple. A special connection between two characters that the audience can see and feel. It could be different sides of their personality. It could be vulnerability. It could be forgotten memories. Or it could be some kind of habit. This goes beyond being attracted to each other or having compatible life goals. It's the little things that the characters do when they interact. So, with that in mind, how can someone create chemistry between two characters? One method I have is to use the Enneagram of Personality, which has all kinds of things about character relationships with one another. For instance, I use this to better inform Cassidy and Rebecca's relationship in my series, as Rebecca is the one person Cassidy lets her guard down entirely around, and tends to be at her most openly affectionate and playful with. I base this on studying the Enneagram and learning what can lead to Type 3s and Type 8s interacting positively as a couple. This isn't the only trick I've come up with though, which leads us to the thing I wish to share most, the principle of bonding and principle of separation. This is a little something that comes from Dr. Stephen Rice's research into personality. He found that there are 16 basic desires that we all seek to satisfy with things, and that in romance, like-mindedness attracts while opposites repel. So, for example, let's take the topic of intelligence. The success of a relationship in that case depends more on how curious each partner is, as opposed to how smart they happen to be. Two curious partners result in both of them enjoying intellectual conversation and activities together, even if one is notably smarter than the other. If one is curious and the other isn't, they'll be incompatible even if they are both smart. A curious partner will want to have intellectual conversations much more, while the non-curious one will find it boring, leading to dissatisfaction there. My thinking then became this: what if we achieve chemistry, this special bond between two characters, by considering how they satisfy their mutual desires with one another? For instance, let's use my adventures with Superman's version of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. One of the things that draws them together is their mutual strong desire for idolism, which is reflected well in episode 4. Lois's idolism leads her to asking invasive questions that get her snubbed. Clark likewise shows this idolism, so when dealing with Ivo, he decides to go rogue from the order side and ask the same line of questioning, which helps express the bond between them. It also helps Lois further appreciate Clark for doing that, which results in her being kind to him and things deepening between them. I also think that awareness of this can help avoid a whole bad writing issue that can often arise with romance writing, that lovers need to talk about or do something more than just talk about love. When I say love, I mean a character having more to them than just flirting with the lead during stuff. The idea is to have some other context that plays into their interaction, and the flirting is layered on top of that. Knowledge of the 16 basic desires can provide the other context that the flirting is added to. Like, if we look at Uncharted, Nathan Drake and Aline Fisher are both characters with high desires for physical activity and curiosity, which is why they get along so well during whatever adventure they're on. Plus, working on that stuff together gives them something to actually do on top of being a couple. I can go into much more detail on this stuff, but I'll save that for those who are interested who ask stuff in the comments. And if you want more of my insight, click whatever video YouTube is recommending you now.